Today we continue on with our NHL season previews for the 21-22 season, and today we're looking at the Philadelphia Flyers. Many changes have been made for this team. Will they be better? Can they make the playoffs? We'll discuss that coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, today we're looking at the season preview for the Philadelphia Flyers, a team that had a very disappointing year last year and have made several changes trying to shake things up, but there's certainly some other factors that need to happen as well, in my opinion, which we're going to get in here as well, which is basically, a lot of internal upgrades and improvements have to happen for the coming year to be much more successful than the very disappointing year they had last season. So first up, what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick recap and review of last season, take a look at some of the numbers, even though they're not overly pretty. Then we're going to take a look at how this team has changed, look at the players that have left, the new additions they've made, take a look at their depth charts, and see where I think they're going to do and finish for the coming year. So let's first up take a look at last year's results. So obviously they missed the playoffs, finishing 6th in the Eastern Division last year. Obviously the divisions were different with the 56-game campaign last year. They finished with a record of 25, 23, and 8 for 58 points. They scored 163 goals, which is about right around league average, 15th best. But goals against were absolutely atrocious. They were 31st in the NHL last year, dead last when it comes to giving up goals, giving up over 200 for the shortened season. So that is obviously a huge part of what needs to get better. They need to cut that down, and they need to cut it down by a good margin here. Now, they also had a lackluster special teams effort with only a 73% PK and a 19.1% power play. So clearly, changes had to be made, and GM Chuck Fletcher has gone about this offseason being a very busy guy to make sure that indeed happened. Now let's take a look at some of the scoring leaders for last year. A little bit of a surprise, but we actually had a three-way tie for first place in points, which includes JVR, Claude Giroux, and Jake Voracek. JVR had 17 goals, 26 assists for 43 points. Giroux had 16 goals, 27 assists for 43 points. And Voracek had 9 goals, 34 assists for 43 points. And Voracek's assist number was tops on the team. So they all three tied in points. Voracek led an assist. Most goals was Joel Farabee, who had 20 goals and 18 assists for 38 points. And of course, we've seen Farabee ink a new long-term deal this offseason as well, as he's coming out of his entry-level contract. So some good piece of business there, in my opinion, for the Flyers to get their young forward locked up. Now, next we're going to take a look at how the team has changed. There's been a lot of player exits and a lot of new player additions. So let's get started first up with the players that have left the organization. So here are the Flyers exits from last season, which includes Shane Gostisbehere, the defenseman who was basically facing scrutiny for the past couple of years. There's no doubt he needed to change the scenery. Obviously, he had a really hot start to his career and just never completely found his game. Things fell off. I know he had a knee injury, which impacted things too. And there's lots of other external reasons. Some of it I do believe was coaching style, but I think you got to put the onus on the player as well. But either way, it was clear and abundant that it was not a fit there anymore for Gostisbehere. So he get moved to Arizona. Brian Elliott departed via free agency. They decided to bring in a new veteran backup to work with Carter Hart. So Elliott ends up going down to Tampa. Robert Hagg was involved in a trade, so obviously he's no longer with the organization here. The Buffalo Sabres in the Rasmus Ristolainen deal. Philippe Myers and Nolan Patrick were both traded. They're both players that were involved in a three-way deal. So, of course, at this point, Myers is now with the Predators, and Patrick is with Vegas. And, of course, the big one-for-one trade, sending Jake Voracek back to Columbus, where he started his NHL career. So that one was a bit surprising, but from a money perspective, the dollars were close. I understand the need just to shake things up. So, it was a surprising deal, but I kind of understand where Fletcher's coming from in a sense. And then they also parted ways with Alex Lyon, who has been, in a number 3, number 4 goaltending spot with them for some time now. And he signed a free agent contract with the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, before we look at the additions, I just want to pause for a moment and acknowledge our channel sponsor, Exter Smart Wallets. Top Shelf Hockey is proud to be sponsored by Exter. Forbes calls Exter the most successful smart wallet brand in the world. They certainly have high quality products, high grade leather. You can put all your cards in your wallet with RFID protection, and you can track it worldwide. That's the best part. You don't have to worry about losing your wallet and not being able to track it down. They have a great selection of products to choose from here, a variety of colors and styles, something to surely help for everyone. As you can see in the demonstration here for the product I have, this is a beautiful packaging, high quality. When you open it up, you get a high quality wallet with lots of slots for your cards. You have yourself a money clip if you want to carry cash on you here as well. And certainly, as you can see, the quality is outstanding. And here you can see the switch where you can help open up your cards. You just one little click and boom, everything fans out right in front of you. Easy to access. Your cards are protected. And here's the back where you have yet another slot. A terrific overall product, and I can't recommend these enough. Extra ships worldwide, and you can check out the link down below in the description as well as the pinned comment to buy yours today. So thanks very much for watching that promotional video, and if you want to check out Extra Smart Wallets, there is a customized link here in the pinned comment below, so certainly check that out. A high quality product that I highly recommend myself. I know I love my wallet, and I'm sure you will as well if you decide to make a purchase. Now, also on the additions here, we get Cam Atkinson was the piece coming over in the Voracek trade from the Columbus Blue Jackets. So that's going to give you a different kind of player. I mean, Voracek was a more of a playmaker, where Atkinson's more of a goal scorer. So similar, NHL experience, similar contracts, but very, very different kind of result on what you're going to get with these guys. So hopefully the Flyers are, I guess they're trying to score more, but at the same time you need those playmakers. So it'll be interesting to see how that dynamic changes in their top six. They also brought in a veteran center iceman, Derek Brassard, to play likely a bottom six role. He signs a short-term deal. So was Nate Thompson. So both those guys can provide center iceman, or they can play on the wing in your bottom six to give some experience, good on the PK, face-offs, etc. And of course, Ryan Ellis was by far their biggest acquisition. That was the main piece coming in a three-way deal with Vegas and Nashville. Obviously, like I said, they had Myers and Patrick both going out the door, but Ryan Ellis is going to be a huge partner for Ivan Provorov. So I'll be really curious to see how that fits in. Provorov and Ellis, to me, has the potential at least to be one of the better top pairs in the NHL. But it's, to me, I'm not entirely convinced yet that Ivan Provorov is a true number one defenseman, and really Ryan Ellis isn't either. But together, they could make an excellent number one pairing. I'm not throwing any shade at either of them. I'm a big fan of both of their game. They both provide something a little different, but to me, they're more like a number two, really. Like they almost need, if depending on if they want to split them up, put them on different pairs or whatever. Ideally, to have somebody might be a little stronger just to be the number one. Might be advisable, but like I said, when you take kind of like what the equivalent of two number two guys and you put them together, they can still make an excellent top pairing. Obviously, they still have guys like Travis Sanheim, Rasmus Ristolainen, and some other changes here that they made to the blue line. So to me, they do have a much greatly improved defense core, and they're going to be a big part of that. Like I said, Ristolainen, obviously the other big, acquisition here. Ristolainen is going to give you a physical style in your face. Sometimes he gets a little bit too physical, makes some turnovers, gets into penalty trouble. But, at the end of the day, they wanted somebody to play with some edge back there and defend the goal. And he is going to give you that, and he's going to give you solid effort night in and night out, which is something that, you can bank on for sure when it comes to Ristolainen. They also brought in veteran Ironman Keith Yandel, who was bought out from the Florida Panthers, so he'll likely play more of a third pair role, be a little bit more sheltered, probably see a little bit of power play 2 time, can certainly step up in case of injury. But again, another guy who's got lots of experience, can provide some offense, and like I said, he's willing to take on a smaller role. I know he's looking to stay in the lineup, though, so he's going to have to play a little bit better hockey, I think, on both ends of the ice to make sure he maintains that streak. And, of course, they also added Martin Jones from San Jose to be the new backup goalie here with Carter Hart. Not overly a fan of Jones's game. Jones has been declining for about 3 to 4 years. Maybe in a smaller role, he'll be able to do better. A different goalie coach maybe can help change his game a bit. But out of all the options, I understand they're kind of limited on dollars that they can spend at that position. But I don't know. I almost would have just stayed with Elliott. I know Elliott didn't have a great year last year, but at least you know the guy. I'm just not confident that Jones is the answer here. They need Carter Hart to play a lot of hockey this year and a lot of good hockey, or no matter all those other changes, they're still going to be in trouble because between the pipes is a huge question mark here. Now, let's take a look here at their depth charts, courtesy of dailyfaceoff.com. Let's see how they've projected their lines. Now, keep in mind, these lines are not exactly who's going to play with who. They're based on player rating, so it's just a depth chart. It's not necessarily, like I said, your lines and how they're going to stack up here on opening night. But you're likely going to see Sean Couturier be your top line center. Likely, your top wingers are Claude Giroux and Travis Konechny. Your line number 2 could be Hayes, Atkinson, and Farabee. Again, another real solid line. That's a pretty solid top 6. Should be lots of goals scored there, which will drop JVR to your third line. No big surprise. But when your third line winger is tied for points, it's a bit of a luxury and a bit of a problem, to be honest. It's a bit of both. Brassard and Lawton can also play likely on that third line. You also have Oscar Lindblom, Nate Thompson, and Nikolai Aube-Kubel likely rounding out your forward group. Your defense pairs very well could be Provorov, Ellis, Sanheim, Ristolainen, and Yandel Braun. Now, like I said, it may not be exactly like this. This is just based on how Daily Faceoff, and I like how they have this set up here. It's just an easy tool to use to make everybody's life a little bit easier for putting these videos together. But essentially, it's based on player rating, so it's not a guarantee they're going to line up exactly like that. But when it comes to how I see this team doing, like I said, the big key here that we don't know is goaltending. Carter Hart was absolutely terrible last year, lost his confidence, and, it just really got to him. I hope he was able to step away, reset, and refresh, and just go back to fundamentals here and get his game back together, because if he cannot, they are going to be in serious trouble. I like a lot of the moves they've made. They signed Sean Couturier to a mega long-term deal. A little bit concerning over the timeline of the age and everything, but for today, for the first 4 or 5 years at least of that contract, it's going to be good money spent. I have no doubt. I know from a scoring perspective, I think their forward group is probably a little bit better maybe, but not drastically. It's a little bit of a different look. I expect Joel Farabee to continue to grow. We need to see a good year from Claude Giroux. He's playing for a contract, and we already know that Giroux is not going to be re-signing with the Flyers during the season at least. So he's going to be playing for a contract, whether that be in Philadelphia or elsewhere. I'm sure he's not ready to hang him up yet. So, it's important for him to have a strong year to get one more payday, regardless of where that is. So there's a lot of things that need to happen there. But goaltending, first and foremost, is the biggest concern. If Hart plays well, then I'm sure this team can be a playoff team. The defense core in front of the goaltenders will definitely be better. I have no doubt that this is a stronger blue line than they had before. That's all great, but they can only do so much. He still has to make the key saves. The NHL forwards coming at them are still pretty darn talented, and they're still going to get some grade A chances, and they can't let all those go in the net. So we need to see an improvement on the penalty kill, which those veteran guys like Brassard and Thompson can hopefully help with. We also need some guys that are already, part of the team to stick it around to be a little bit better too. Defensively, like I said, they're going to be better. To me, this team can probably be a playoff team in the Metro. I don't see them likely going more than probably right around third place. I still think teams like the Islanders or the Carolina Hurricanes or even the Capitals and the Penguins, even to a degree too, could all possibly finish ahead of them. And the other problem here too is we've had some years in the past where the Metro has put 5 teams in the playoffs and you only get 3 from the Atlantic. I don't think that's going to be the case this year. You've got some really strong Atlantic teams like Tampa, Toronto, you got Boston, Montreal, and the really strong Florida Panthers. To me, it could even be the opposite, where there could be 5 teams in the Atlantic make it and only 3 in the Metro, and that's going to be even tougher on a team like the Flyers. So I think they'll be better. I think they'll have a better season, move up in the standings, be more respectable, more competitive. But is it enough based on their tough competition? I'm just not completely sold here just because of the goaltending. That's my big question mark. So I'm going to say they're going to be definitely in the hunt for the playoffs. Likely in that 3-4 spot is where I see them finishing up, but the teams in the Atlantic, I think, will have as much of a dictation here on whether or not they make it. So let me know what your thoughts are on the Flyers season. Do you see them making the playoffs? How much do you think they're improved with the moves they've made? Let me know down in the comments. We'll discuss further. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the latest news, rumors, and analysis on all 32 NHL teams. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.